Divyanshu, very shortly, please.
Thank you, sir. To set up the context, we have a brief presentation. India's aspiration to achieve Viksit status by 2047 will require an investment in people with skilling as a key enabler. Briefing on the recent budget announcement made to strengthen the skilling institutions. There has been two announcements recently. Union Budget 24-25 has set up focus on upgradation of 1,000 ITIs in hub and spoke arrangement. This announcement also included capacity augmentation of 5 National Institute for Training of Trainers, which will primarily focus on upgradation of existing infra and introduction of new courses. This announcement in Union Budget 24 is also complemented with the announcement made in Budget 25, which has set focus on setting up 5 National Center of Excellence with global partnership. These announcements are set to transform the ITIs and NSTIs into world-class training institutes, providing a continuous stream of skilled and highly skilled labor to support and sustain the growing economy.
Next.
Speaking briefly about the vision of Viksit Bharat, skill development is a key driver for economic growth, and the government remains committed to further strengthen the skilling ecosystem to meet the evolving needs of the industry. As highlighted in the previous slide, this commitment has been set into motion by Para 24 of Union Budget 24-25, which announced the upgradation of 1,000 ITIs, and Para 44 of Union Budget 25, which proposed the establishment of 5 national centers for excellence for skilling to enhance skill training in manufacturing with global partnership. These budgetary measures align with India's 10-year transformative journey under Make for India, Make for World manufacturing. The government has further identified key high-impact sectors and launched several national missions to accelerate industrial growth and technological advancements, such as National Electronic Mission, PLIs, Atmanirbhar Bharat in Defense, National Semiconductor Mission, National Green Hydrogen Mission. The growth of industries such as electronics, semiconductor further reinforced the need for investing in people through skilling. To meet the demands of rapidly evolving economy, skilling in manufacturing is essential not only to drive the technological growth, but also to enhance overall productivity and economic resilience and bridge the gap between industry requirements and workforce capabilities. Focusing on the Union Budget 25 announcement regarding the National Center for Excellence with Global Expertise, Para 24 of Union Budget read as, building on the initiative announced in July 24 budget, 5 National Center of Excellence for Skilling will be set up with global expertise and partnerships to equip our youth with skills required for Make for India, Make for the World manufacturing. Okay. The partnership will cover curriculum design, training of trainers, a skill certification framework, and periodic reviews. In this regard, the proposed features can include leveraging global partnership for upgradation of NSTI for expertise in course development, certification framework, and international mobility of skilled workers. Anchoring a research ecosystem to meet industry and local needs, and upgrading existing courses and introduce sector-specific curricula with multiple entry, multiple exit options, and introducing higher NSQF levels. Globally, countries like China, Singapore, Germany, South Korea have successfully aligned vocational education with industry demands, leading to increased employability and economic growth. Drawing from these models, India's COE can align the vision and strategic mission of national COEs for skilling with priorities in manufacturing and national manufacturing mission, focus on need of emerging sectors and future of work, incorporate the global best practices, cluster and need-based skilling through national COEs and embedding the role of industry in setting up and managing the COEs, and further creating the pool of trained instructors and trainers. we expect that this discussion will help us focus on setting up the vision for the national COEs, defining role and responsibilities of government, industry, and global institutions, establishing collaboration mechanisms between stakeholders, ensuring seamless integration of industry, and a structured framework for training instructor, incorporating continuous learning programs, certification mechanisms, and incentives to attract and retain trainers. We look forward for this discussion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Divyanshu. As you can see, can we remove the presentation, please? As you can see, the objectives of the Center of Excellence is to create globally benchmark skilling institutions, fostering industry-driven high-quality training ecosystem. I am also joined in this discussion with Dr. Tushajit Singh Sethi. She is the Director General of Training, who is in charge of the National Skill Training Institutions and ITIs. Also, Madam Dr. Neena Pahuja and Dr. Vinita Agarwal, both are esteemed members, executive members from the NCVT. My colleagues from the NSTC, Srimati Archana Mayaram, and my young brigade here. And we also are very conscious of the fact that a large number of stakeholders from our skilling ecosystem have also joined. I would like to thank them. आप सबको हमारा बहुत ज़्यादा आभार. Now with that, I would like to start to have a structured and insightful discussion. I will now call upon our esteemed panelists, and I'll begin with the state governments. We have given time 5 minutes, and I have kept a bell also ready so that we speak within the time, so allow everybody to speak and bring their perspectives to the fore. And because each of you bring very valuable perspectives on best practices, policy implementations, global expertise, and industry collaboration. With your permission, all the panelists. Now, I come back to the first. I will take the state government. We have from the state government. We have Mr. Rashmita Panda, Mr. Ragapriya, and Mr. Vinod Rao. So, state governments have to play a pivotal role in the success of these COEs, as in all training establishments, because they oversee the ITIs, they oversee the skill universities, vocational training centers, and in like states of Karnataka and Odisha and Gujarat, they are also agrani states in terms of taking the skills to a different level altogether. I turn to Ms. Ragapriya, who is Commissioner for Industrial Training and Employment and MD in charge Karnataka State Development Corporation in Karnataka. Ragapriya, Chanagidira.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Chanagidira, sir. South Chanagidira, sir.
Chanagidira. Karnataka has been a forerunner in setting up of sector-specific COEs. Ragapriya would like to hear from you how Karnataka's COEs have leveraged industry partnerships and global collaborations to build world-class skilling ecosystem.
Yes, sir. So at the outset, I would like to thank Shri Atul Kumar Tiwari, Secretary, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, for having invited me as a panelist for this breakout session. So when we are talking about the Center of Excellence initiative at the central level, I would like to focus on the Karnataka initiative that we have done through the Udyoga project. So the Udyoga project basically envisages upgradation of 150 ITIs across 6 long-term courses and 23 short-term courses. One of the important pivotal aspect of this project, as far as the 6 long-term courses were concerned, was we had really cutting-edge technology such as artisan using advanced technology, industrial robotics, advanced electric vehicle, and these pivotal courses has been envisaged under the Udyoga project. So in this project, since it is a project which is spread across Karnataka, these 150 ITIs serve as hubs through which the other ITIs also benefit. The Tata technology, the collaboration through the industry was through the software such as Creo, Carveco, and Mastercam. And we in turn also had upgradation of tools, equipments, and civil infrastructure from the state government. So what are the advantages of this project as far as our state is concerned? One was the geographical spread out of the ITI, so that it ensures that there is an equitable access to the skilling program throughout Karnataka. It is not just a single area or a single place, it was equitably spread out. So this ensures that usually North Karnataka has very less investment as far as industry and other aspects of skilling are concerned. So this ensured that there is an equitable spread of this project in all across Karnataka. Secondly, this also is a channel through which we facilitate the growth of MSMEs, because now now that we are on the third year of running as far as this project is concerned, we have also ensured that MSMEs are also partnering with us as far as this Tata Technology is concerned, and they are also leveraging our centers. We have replaced the outdated machinery, replaced them with high-tech computer labs and VSAT classrooms, all aligning with Industry 4.0 goals. And we have also ensured this year that we are also tying up with higher education department for training of the students in engineering colleges and polytechnic colleges. They would also take benefit of this particular Tata Technology course. And the 20 industry partners who have collaborated with us are facilitating the training and placement as far as this project is concerned. Some of the areas which we need to focus on to drive improvement was the completion of the recruitment of our junior training officers, as well as completion of recruitment of our guest lecturers, to ensure that we are able to do 100% admission. So as far as today's discussion was concerned, we are focusing on the Center of Excellence. So how do we leverage the Center of Excellence as far as the state government is concerned was, we feel that now that the hub and spoke model has been envisaged for upgradation of 1,000 ITIs, the Center of Excellence can serve as a knowledge partner and some sort of a think tank to support the hub and spoke model. And based on feedback from industry partners and anchor industry partners in the hub, the Center of Excellence can focus as a new and emerging technology-based curriculum can be provided. And this curriculum should be predominantly industry designed and industry specific. Because unless we actually take input from the industry and incorporate their particular requirements, only then the curriculum would be successful. So that is one suggestion that I have as far as the COE is concerned. Also, more autonomy needs to be given to the COE for accommodating new technologies in emerging sectors like renewable energy and artificial intelligence and ML. So I think this is something that we need to take a break from our usual original way of working as far as the ITS are concerned, and this COE should be given enough autonomy for that. And we also have to collaborate with foreign universities and institutions for that we can have some sort of a cross learning from them. I think that is a very, very important aspect of COE. And also update the existing curriculum and revising them according to the current needs with the support of industry is a need of the hour. And as far as the NSTIs are concerned, instead of just restricting them to major centers of TOT, they can also serve as a finishing school for the ITI, where certain in-demand short-term courses can also be taken up under through the NSTI. So I think that is one more suggestion we're making from our state. And as far as the TOTs are concerned, sir, I think we need to focus on all the existing trainers need to be trained in at least one advanced specialized emerging sector besides their own domain knowledge, because unless the trainers keep upgrading themselves according to the changing demand, they would not be able to keep track of the future advancements. So apart from their core domain knowledge, the trainers also have to have some sort of specialized emerging sectors. They need to have add-on training, probably a refresher course for every 6 months for a week, and a faculty exchange program would really enhance the quality of TOTs that we are conducting. The TOT curriculum also has to be revised regularly with industry experts and academia, and the TOT for the trainers, yes, sir. So the TOT for the trainers.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Raghapriya.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll request forgiveness of all the panelists for giving first opportunity to Karnataka, my home cadre. And Raghapriya is a very bright and young dynamic officer. Thank you, Raghapriya. Your
Yes, sir.
session is certainly welcome. Now I turn to another very esteemed colleague, Mr. Vinod Rao from Gujarat. And Gujarat, as always, has always been taking new strides. So over to you, Vinod. Vinod, are you there?
Unmute. Is he on mute?
Vinod, are you on mute or something? Is he there?
He's raising his hand, sir, but he didn't come for any dry run also. NIC.
Hello. Sir, am I audible?
You are audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah.
Am I audible, sir? Vinod Rao here.
Yes, please. Chapande.
Sir, sorry, sir, some technical issues, sir. Sir, the gap between unemployability and unemployment can be filled only by engaging all stakeholders, particularly the industry and academia. Sir, when we did a assessment of 15,000 ITIs that we have in India, sir, we have around 10 lakh pass outs from ITIs and 16 lakh pass outs from other engineering and technical courses, as against the requirement of fresh addition of 2 crores into the workforce every year, sir. So what we are addressing through existing formal training systems is less than 1/10 of the requirement. And the need for upskilling and reskilling is altogether in addition to what we have said. So looking into this, Gujarat has gone ahead and planned scalable models to bring in skilling with public-private partnerships, sir. The scale at which we are thinking is to start around 100 centers of excellence through industry academia partnership, each with capacity of around 2,000 pass outs per year, sir. The government role in this will be mostly in subsidizing the recurring cost of these institutions. We should encourage industries to invest at least on an average 100 crores per center of excellence in their own premises to the extent possible, with academia partnership wherever required. So with an average investment of 100 crores per center of excellence, we are looking forward to attracting investments of around 10,000 crores. I am using the word investment here, sir, because most of the time we look for corporate social response CSR funds, but rather, sir, we should encourage industries to actually invest in skilling as part of their core business itself. For instance, the semiconductor industry or the green hydrogen industry which is coming, or the alternative energy industry that is coming up in the states, sir, instead of them expecting our ITIs to train the manpower and provide them, we should encourage them to invest in skilling. We may even consider, sir, a policy for tax incentives for investments in skilling for industries, sir. Sir, the scale at which what we are thinking is, if we have such 100 centers of excellence coming in the next 3 to 5 years, sir, we will have 2 lakh people coming out of them every year, pass out. And if we are investing around, if government is providing recurring cost of around 50,000 per training, the state government will be giving around 1,000 crores every year as recurring cost for these centers of excellence, sir. So instead of setting up center of excellence, we are subsidizing the recurring cost of centers of excellence, whereby industry and academia can come together, set their centers of excellence, government's recurring cost can make it viable, and therefore reasonable profits can be generated out of it. And even setting up of centers of excellence thus becomes a bankable, viable project, sir. So this is the scale at which we are thinking, sir. I thought within my 5 minutes time, I will make this point, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vinod. Of course, Gujarat has many more examples to show to the whole India, and your version of attracting. Turn to Ms. Rashmita Panda. She is the CEO of World Skill Center and heading the Odisha Skill Development Authority. Odisha, like Gujarat, also serves as a model of excellence in technical skilling and industry-oriented training. Rashmita, can you elaborate on Odisha's strategy in internationalizing skilling standards and what lessons can be applied for effective implementation of our budget announcement? Over to you, Rashmita.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to sir and ma'am for inviting me as the panelist for the discussion today. I would like to explain Odisha's model on how we had partnered with global institutions. So we have Odisha Skill Development Project, which is an ADB funded project, an externally aided project, under which we have made one finishing school in Bhubaneswar. And for us, the knowledge partner has been ITIS Singapore. So there, during the initial study, the skill gaps within the state and what the global market demands, that feasibility analysis was done both from our side as well as from ITIS side. And we had come up with advanced courses, 6 in engineering and 2 in services, which trains our ITI and poly pass out students into high-end skills. So these courses are 1 year long for us, which is a 2-semester module. And our trainers who are there, they have come to World Skill Center after 4 weeks of intensive technical training, both in Singapore and then later in Odisha. So as the quality of the trainers is very important whenever we are establishing Center of Excellence. So when this project was initially conceptualized, so our existing trainers from our lecturers from ITIs and polytechnics, they were given one skill test before they become the trainers in World Skill Center. So when we were piloting this project, so the skill test, for making the skill test, making them go through a proper skill test of 2-3 levels, and then so that their own motivation level, their own technical expertise, that was also assessed, and then they were shortlisted for the training in Singapore and in Odisha. Now this center has trained as on date almost 5,000 students. So we do 2 intakes per year. We do training starting from air conditioning and refrigeration, mechatronics, mechanical and electrical services. So these are very niche area in which our industries work. Now another thing that we have gone ahead here, along with the course curriculum, which is very much industry aligned, every year we do an industry collaboration with the industry partners. Let us say we have a course of vertical transportation, which addresses to the needs related to lifts, escalators, and travelators. Now the existing curriculum also had a shortfall. So we took the industry partner. In our case, there was one industry partner. So we took some as a top up along with the 2 semesters and started enhancing the skills. This helped for the better placement of our students. And I am very happy to share with, yesterday we had our 5th graduation ceremony, and our students are working now in not just with companies related to manufacturing, but also companies related to vaccine manufacturing. Bharat Biotech has been able to take our students, and they were sharing with us that how our curriculum was has helped to identify the right talent from World Skill Center. So I think to make Center of Excellence to be an edge above our existing ITIs and polytechnics, the first one is the design of the curriculum and in which sector we want to train our students. Number 2 is identification of right trainer and then further training them. Almost our trainers of our existing ITI and Polytechnic also, we do their refresher training in World Skill Center, and almost each one of them gets 4 rounds of training in a period of every 3 to 4 months related to pedagogy and technical skills. So the training of the trainers, the industry collaboration, and the regular discussions also. Whenever our students go for the placement, we keep tracking of our students. So Center of Excellences need to have a dedicated placement team. That is very important. And then our placement team also for a year almost regularly track the students. And then we also take the industry feedback later on when they start working in case they are finding any gaps in our existing curriculum, which will help in improvising the same. I stop here.
Thank you. Last time I also come and seen your World Skill Center and told you at that time that idea was to scale it up and bring it to different parts of India so that we have a larger number of trainers as well trained people. Thank you all my colleagues from the state government. Now I turn to industry, and I would say that for the Center of Excellence to be successful and sustainable, industry participation is critical in assigning curricula, providing infrastructures, co-delivering training and adopting them. And whatever the public-private partnership model is there, the role of industry, as was emphasized by Honorable Prime Minister also, is very, very critical. It is in this context that I turn to Sri Sabashachi Das, who is the CEO of Tata Indian Institute of Skills. They have two centers, one in Mumbai, another in Ahmedabad. And the Tata Institute of Skills, Indian Institute of Skills, is a prime example of an industry-led skilling institution. And we'd like to hear from you, Mr. Das, perspective on what makes an industry-driven center of excellence successful and how these can be replicated at scale. Over to you, Mr. Das.
Good afternoon, Tiwari ji. Good afternoon, esteemed panelists. Thank you for having me in the panel. First, I think it is a fantastic initiative for government to look at Center of Excellence for training of trainers. That is going to be an absolutely key element that will determine the success of the entire skilling ecosystem. Let me respond at two levels with some of my thoughts. One, the way Indian Institute of Skills Mumbai and Indian Institute of Skills Ahmedabad, in partnership with MSD, Government of India, is shaping up. Our thinking here primarily has been customer focus. Who are our customers? That's the first question. One obvious large segment is the student. Second is the industry, because industry also sends people for upskilling. So in our design, we have first sought to understand what the customer needs. If you want to make things successful, understanding the pain points, students across the country have lots of different issues which have to be addressed for skilling institutions to be successful. They have different levels of school STEM abilities, they have financial listings, they have migration issues. So you need to be able to understand what their pain points are, what their aspirations are, if you are going to make an offering, which will be a success. That's one. Second is the industry part. So what we have done is and this is relevant from the point of view of the COE that is being set up, is we've sort of felt that, look, it is very different for a skilling institution to have its trainers and faculty as opposed to more traditional educational things. So our trainers as of are all from the industry who have, just a few months ago were working in the industry. And a model which we think will work the best is one where there is a revolving door mechanism where industry people come, train, and then after 4 or 5 years go back to the industry. Because otherwise they'll get ossified in a sort of a way and be out of touch. Whatever upskilling you do, the experiences that you get in the shop floor in terms of the project design, teams, assembly line requirements, if you don't work in the industry, you will not be able to translate that when you're training. So this is a very core part of how we want to shape this. In this context, I think there is an incredible opportunity for Government of India, especially in the COE context, to think of a process by which industry can be supported to send their trainers or their supervisors or their operators, senior operators on deputation for 2 to 3 years as trainers and then absorb them back. That will create the industry relevance, industry validity on a sustainable basis. And that could be a wonderful model which COE can sort of nurture and pioneer. IIS has started with 6 courses. Most of our courses are short term because, again, when we found that the students were willing to spend that much time to be able to get upskilled and join the industry. And when we investigated what the industry needed, we realized that a lot of the training can be done pretty quickly. We've started with advanced manufacturing courses and EV, and we'll be staying most of our offering will be around manufacturing. Our first batch, just the first batch, had 170 companies visiting, and we had a pretty good placement of the batch. Second batch has started, and we will go on. This has been early days. We've had Indian Institute of first phase of both ISA and ISM campus being set up. Second phase is now getting constructed, and that will pan out over the next few months. But our focus is this, that apart from understanding technology, absorbing technology, we've got to have a customer focus, and we got to have an understanding of multiple variables which will make skills training successful. That means having an understanding of mobilization, getting the right trainers, training the trainers, having a placement team, having an IT team, having a proper finance having an LMS model, having an IT setup. If you don't do all of this, then the skilling program does not become successful. Infrastructure is one bit of it. You've got to have an equally strong mobilization team, an equally strong placement team. So all these holistic aspects are also a very key part of the IS design. This is with regards to IS. I think with COE, with COE, my submission would be again a mechanism by which industry can send trainers in a regular basis, and government facilitates that. I think that will greatly enrich it. And one last thing, and I've been discussing this with Tiwari ji, is a ecosystem support, which I'll just take a minute, but I think it is vital for all of us to find success in that. You see, to get talent to come into manufacturing, we must find a way in which the talent is disproportionately rewarded. At this point, and this is I don't have an answer, but I think the wages in manufacturing have to be supported somehow, maybe with manufacturing having a special this thing for minimum wage, so that you can attract talent. You will not be able to attract talent from a student perspective into large-scale training or manufacturing if the initial entry wages don't go up. And that is an ecosystem challenge which is relevant for all of us. I will stop.
Thank you, Sabyasachi ji. As always, listening to you is very enlightening, because we are one of the practitioners as well as a philosopher for us, and you have done some very important points, particularly about the wages. Thank you very much. Now I turn to Mr. Sudarshan, who is the head of skilling Reliance Industries. Earlier he had worked with NITTF, and Reliance Industry has been deeply engaged in workforce development, particularly in ensuring technologies. Sudarshan ji, if you could shed some light on the topic and share your insights, and how can COEs align with the evolving industry needs? 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity to represent such an important topic, and also such a wonderful forum. And I have to go to the Principal Secretary of Gujarat, because we have something want to do big in Gujarat, so we can directly collaborate and do. So I will approach him. Thank you for providing this platform. I think this is a game-changing initiative which is aiming to have solved two challenges in one arrow, that is making skill aspirational, number one, and also that in the manufacturing sector. So these are the two big challenges, and it is aiming to solve both the challenges in one arrow. So which is challenging, but I think we have enough competence and capability to do it. And definitely this is a game changing. Why I'm telling this, COEs can really act as a leader, because it is going to produce master trainers. I think they are going to be the game changers in the skilling ecosystem. So I would propose something they should be called at a different level, like skill stars or whatever you have, special cadres or IAS, KAS, so that they act as a catalyst in bringing the change required in the skilling ecosystem, because that is very, very important. The master trainers need to be recognized for their skill, I think the COEs can do that by providing enough with the technology, with the pedagogy, and also we should aim at providing something international exposure to them with our government international reach out. So we can do this at a very high level. This is my first suggestion to do this master trainer in a very big way, so that trainers are becoming aspirational. They should write like competitive exams to go to IIT or whatever. They should aspire to become a master trainer at these COAs. So this is number one. And number two, these COAs should act as an excellence in terms of whatever the skilling program, be short-term, long-term, or work-integrated program. Because this work-integrated skilling program, there are a lot of loopholes. I think the COEs can demonstrate, at least one or two COEs can demonstrate how really the work-integrated program is done. Because when I lived in Germany, the handwork-kammer really works with the industries, collects the demands, and import the training required for the industries at the COEs. So this could be one of the aspects the COEs can consider in collecting the demand and importing the training. So this is the number two. And number three, when we are talking about manufacturing, apart from technology, I think we should also concentrate on the functional skills, like, for example, FIRES or Kaizen improvement technologies, all the shop floor technologies. So that's, in a way, I'm seeing that is going to be missing in some industries, so which is very, very basic for any manufacturing industry to survive and excel. So this also to be part of the curriculum, apart from technology, pedagogy, whatever we talk, shop floor skills and the functional skills are very key for the success in the manufacturing technology. And going forward, the CO is to act as a research and innovation hub, especially in managing the blue and gray collar workforce in the country. So that we encourage innovation research, we should encourage industry IR or HR related people to come and do a course or research there, so that they can develop the appropriate solution for the industries coming with the various problems they have in the manufacturing industry. Like people go for IIM today for a 3 months course, and they gain knowledge and come back and import the required knowledge or the solutions in the industry. So the COEs can act as an extended hub for the industries to innovate and research. And lastly, of course, everybody knows this, the digital intervention is a must. So it should be the forefront in the digital intervention or digital technology as well. So looking forward to contribute and work together in this important initiative. So.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Thank you for doing it in time. And since you have a very vast experience, so your suggestions will be certainly help us in design these COEs. Now I turn from private sector, I turn to say Ashish Singh, who is from the head JK Cements Limited Vocational Education and Skill. Ashish ji, from your industry perspective, we'd like to get your views on how the COEs can help bridge the employability gap, and what role, according to you, does the industry play in making skilling more relevant? Ashish?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am, and all the panelists. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you so much, sir. It was a very enriching experience to listen all the esteemed panelists and Honorable Prime Minister who has guided us how do we work upon together for the next 5 years and make this runway of 5 years something that is game changing. So to start with, sir, in terms of employability and from the industry perspective, onto the skilling and vocational schools and education, we have a full-fledged education vertical JK Cement does, and that includes from university, schools, and vocational schools. So we had substantial experience of past 30-35 years on to this vocational schools, and we had these learnings which has made our students currently who are passed out from our institutions, they are working with DRDOs, they are working with the atomic power plants with the government, then they are into different PSUs with the government, also with the public private sector companies. So the employment now, how we look at it, the students who are being passed out from these campuses, the focus is on premium employability. That means instead of mass placement, that there has to be premium placement in terms of their formal employment and matching their aspirations also. Whereas if we look at 20 years back and now, the aspirational value of every student who is into the ITI or into going into engineering college, somewhere they are merging onto the same line. That means the focus has to be that what kind of offerings we are having. So we had some thoughts around this, like designing or developing the national COEs into skilling. So to start with, our focus or our thought, our principle is into system design and change. The existing system or that we are proposing to change, there has to be a principle of system design that we have taken. We are incorporating that into our system, which largely has that our system is offering. There are different components. So the focus is on POEM. This POEM acronym is more into people. Then we are what kind of users, or whether it's a student, guardian, or industry. So this user is POEM. Second, we are targeting about objects. Okay, in what kind of object the user is interacting, whether it's placement cell, whether it's admission, then he's going into the lab or finishing school. So second is how we are creating value in different directions. Then environment, the whole setting of this national COE or work setting, how it will be done. And messages, that means whether it's training content, it's soft skills, and post placement. So, and last is services. So this POEM is more into one matrix we are taking, and it is done with the 5 E's, which is how to enter, then engage, how we explore, and extend our services to the students. So a very comprehensive, actionable matrix which incorporates every perspective from the user, keeping user into the centricity. This POEM where we are taking and 5 E's. This is something is helping us in designing a COEs or National Center of Excellence kind of facility. Further, we had added value on this, what kind of value it is going to offer, sir. So whether the value creation between the different stakeholders, the government, industry, students, and the faculties who are there, or I'll say the whole administration setup. So this value web is also incorporated into this COEs, and latter part is more into, if I say the whole experience, the user experience. So these 3 things combining together, we are proposing the National Center of Excellence of Skilling, which will have the very clear KPIs, which are the regular standard KPIs, then also adding the value which is desired in next 5 years. One of them would be very critical in terms of developing entrepreneurship. Yeah. That entrepreneurship will be having the ambitious or the judicious target of 20% at least, so that we get the students or the entrepreneurship, sir. And to conclude this, the cluster approach is also needed, which will be incorporating on these COEs, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you very much. And you said so many points which we have noted, and we'll try to design our examples in that way. Now I turn to the global perspective. Now, the global experiences can offer valuable lessons in making COEs world-class institutions. And in this, the forging international partnership will be very, very critical. And it is here that we have 3 panelists. First of all, I'd like to invite Ms. Xiaoyan Liang. She is the lead education specialist, World Bank. And I do not need to add anything about the World Bank. They have supported skill transformation projects globally. And I will request you, madam, to share insights on how India's COEs can be designed for scalability, inclusivity, and financial sustainability, drawing from international case studies. And I would remind you, your time is just for 5 minutes. Over to you,
very much, Secretary. Can you hear me?
Yes, very much. Please go on.
Okay. Good afternoon, colleagues at the Ministry and fellow panelists, participants. It's a pleasure to speak for a few minutes here. We have been working very closely with the Ministry in designing the national scheme for ITI upgradation and NSTI augmentation, and now the 5 COE. So I've already learned a lot from the colleagues earlier in the panel that I'm very happy to see various practices are already happening across India. So we are here to actually try to help with the ministry to synthesize these experiences and to build into the design the 5 Center of Excellence. But very quickly, I think COE by definition is aspirational, and most country system actually reform their system through a combination of sort of leading lighthouse COE plus other measures, which sort of provide a foundation. So these 2 measures are both very critical, and I'm happy to see the government is now even intensifying its pledge to improve the skill through the COE. But what does it mean to be aspirational? I think it's very important for us to think about pathways. And we discussed yesterday with the ministry that currently the CITS courses or the CTS courses, they're not very easy to break through for the students, for the teachers. We have to be serious thinking about, can we actually in the COE, or at least one of them, to offer higher level teacher training courses. Colleagues mentioned the master trainings, mentors, but they cannot be only at the level of CITS. I think we have to consider diploma or bachelor degrees as options as well. Here, of course, we will run into challenges of collaborating very closely with the education colleagues in the country. So this is one thing. Another thing the COE can model is the how do we empower our institutions through more autonomy and accountability. This is a pain point for us, many of the ITI institutions. So COE is an opportunity for us to give further, shed more light. How do we do that in terms of governance, in terms of key performance indicators? I think we're talking about how do we bring industry more into the governance of the NSTIs, into the governance of the COEs. Yes, COE will, especially the sector COE will have to be led by industries. I hope those are the industries that represent global standards. Whichever sector, in electronics, in automobile, in transport, we have to identify actually global leading industries. Increasingly, the industry holds those standards. We can think about a handful of them for each sector. So that's one thing. And I also have another suggestion, that is to COE should also champion a quality management improvement system. And we currently do not have a very good regular feedback system in our institutions. How do we ensure high standards, regular evaluation monitoring? How do we maintain strong connection with industry and regularly receive feedback from our graduates, from industry, is actually very critical for us to be able to continuously improve quality of training. So these are the things we are happy to work closely with ministry to build into the COE design. And of course, the World Bank also is a gateway to lots of international experiences, institutions, bilateral or institutional. We've already started this process. Actually, we had a whole global panel yesterday, including experts from China, Korea, Singapore, Germany, Australia, and we are already embarking on the discussion to see if we can bring the global, because being able to have joint programs and joint certificates very much not only bring excellence into our program, but also help our graduates being able to tap into labor markets in other countries through that manner. I'm going to stop here, and thank you very much. I look forward to working more with you.
Thank you. If you remember, we had a full-day workshop, and in which we had called our NSTIs and also some industry friends, Festo, for example, and we had a detailed discussion on that. Of course, today's discussion, which you're also participating, you're hearing some more sides of the problem. So perhaps we all put together and make this workable. Thank you very much. Now I turn to C.N. Varaprasad, who is Singapore Education Consulting Group. As you all know, Singapore is a global benchmark in vocational excellence. Mr. Varaprasad, what are your views on the topic and what strategies from Singapore can be adapted for India's Center of Excellence? Over to you, Mr. Varaprasad.
Thank you, Secretary Ji. And thanks for this particular question. You know, when there are many visitors, when we go around visiting overseas skills institutions, we somehow get very impressed by the infrastructure, the buildings, the equipment, and things that we can see directly. But what we need to do is to look at some of the more invisible things. And that's where most of our learning and transfer of knowledge will take place. Let me give you a few examples of what I mean by invisible things. The first one is, of course, has been discussed here, which is the nexus between the private sector, the employers, and the training institutions. How does this take place? How does this transfer of information take place? The other next invisible thing, which we can't see, is the trainers, the quality of the trainers. How are the trainers prepared to become quality instructors within the skilling institutions? What innovative pedagogies do they bring to the workshop and to the laboratory? How do they motivate and make skills development aspirational and enjoyable for the students, so that the students can, by word of mouth, tell their friends and their sisters and brothers to come and do skills training? Because this is so important to make sure that we have a good stream of students coming into the skills institute. The other invisible thing, which we seldom see, is curriculum. Is how do we get a mix of not only technical skills, but also knowledge, but most of all, future skills. The ability to keep on learning, the ability to keep on upgrading and upskilling, even when you go off to work. Because if we are trained in a very narrow skill, that is actually quite dangerous if we are not doing a service to the student and the graduate. What we need to do is to provide the student with multiple skills, with multi-skills, so that even as technology develops and changes, that is not going to pose a danger to their employment, and they can continue to be upgraded and upskilled. We also don't see the innovative pedagogies in action unless we go deep and stay in the skills institution for several weeks. And finally, how do we assess and certify the graduate assessment process? So all of this takes place in the background when we visit a particular German or Swiss or Swedish or Singaporean institution. We come away thinking of the equipment and the buildings and how nice they are. But it's the employability, the long-term skills, the continuous upgrading, the continuous improvement in pedagogy that is very key. And these are the things that we can bring to India. These are the things that we can bring to Bharat. And what we need to do then is to scale this up. And that's why the COEs, the Centers of Excellence, are so important, because these provide the opportunities for industry to collaborate with the training institution. And the training institution must be ready as equal partners to take on the information and knowledge that they're getting from industry. So I hope that that answers your question, Secretary Ji, and I'll stop here.
Is it done? Thank you. Thank you very much, Varaprasad ji. In fact, I am reading your book also, which you have given to me on how the the whole system was revived in Singapore. And all of our leadership, including our Honorable Prime Minister, have been very, very appreciative of the strides taken by Singapore in vocational education. And now I turn to Mr. Suresh Natarajan, who is the Chief Executive Officer of ITE Education Services, Singapore. Now, Singapore's ITS model is known for its high employability and rates and strong employer engagement. Sureshji, what are the key policy and industry integration mechanisms that have made Singapore's skilling framework a global success? Over to you, Sureshji.
Thank you, Secretary Tiwari, esteemed colleagues. One of the challenges of being the final panelist is that most of the important things have already been said by all the other panelists. So I will try my best to address your question. Singapore context is slightly different from India. I think we both have similar goals in terms of employability and outcomes. It's just that the scale is vastly different. So in the model of skilling institutions in Singapore and engagement with industries, because it's a fairly small place, once you decide that the model is to have the institution engage closely with industry and employers, it's relatively easy to do so. And because of the broad spread of various kinds of industries, we are able to collate the necessary inputs in a fairly quick fashion. So the time between collecting information and if you have the system in place to translate it into actionable items can be done quite quickly. Obviously, in a place like India, which is vast, spread out, you really have to look at what kind of industries are in the locality of each of these skilling institutions to see if that's where they're getting their relevant inputs for them to have these kind of feedback from the employers, which will then translate to changes in curriculum and embedding students with the relevant skills. So I think right now at the national level, as you're talking about COEs, obviously you have a nationwide picture. You can identify what needs to be done, who needs to be talked to, as spoken by various speakers. The challenge is now implementing the relevant curriculum at the site where the students are going to be going out to join the employers. In our model, one of the things which we feel is a very core component is the internship, because we can only cover up to a certain level at the institution. And it's the on-site experiences the students get that really fills out the rest of their knowledge and their learning. And if you don't have that opportunity close by the training institute, that becomes a challenge. Where do they go for relevant internships which correlate to the knowledge they gained at the institute? That's something your system needs to go and think about and optimize to some level. But just to emphasize what we think are the core areas to make this a sustainable model, systems, governance are critical, policy frameworks, all those are really essential. But compliance to those, I think you can always work out those frameworks, but compliance is very critical. Otherwise, you can't sustain it on an ongoing basis. And as mentioned by others, the focus and emphasis on the train is critical because they are the ones who are going to be able to impact the quality of the outcome, which are the students being trained. And hence, they must be comfortable and want to stay on in these roles. So whether it's the overall compensation packages
or how we train them and keep them engaged, all those become very critical parts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sri Suresh Natarajanji, for giving your very good suggestions. And in fact, we have been, in terms of Center of Excellence, we have also been trying to work with the different G2G as well. And Singapore is also one example where we have just signed an MOU on scaling, etc. And as you know, as we know that we have to take it forward, not only with Singapore, but with other 4 or 5 countries so that we can have their expertise as well. So thank you very much. Now I turn to from academia because it's timely and quite logical that we end the discussion with a view from the academia. And Sri Amit Kapoor, who is the chair of Institute of Competitiveness, has been a prolific writer, and it was always a pleasure to meet him and share our views and his empirical insights on the skilling side. So a strong skilling ecosystem requires robust academic linkages to ensure that our talent pool is equipped by Industry 4.0 and beyond. Research-driven interventions and competitive analysis are also key to achieving excellence in skill development. So, Amitji, given your work on competitiveness and human capital development, how we can position these Center of Excellence as global leaders in skill innovation, ensuring they contribute to India's long-term growth. Over to you, Amitji.
Thank you, Atulji. This is a fascinating discussion, and what we are really trying to understand is as to how human development could actually be the driver of competitiveness for a country. So if you really look at the roadmap as the Prime Minister was really suggesting in the morning, so I see it as 4 distinct pillars, and he was saying that it is all about shared value, social progress, sustainable, and solid. And if we want to really replicate the robust period of time through various set of schemes, the question is to what sectors and what locations should we actually look at. And when we look at the empirical evidence and when we look at the data, there are some startling facts which we need to be concerned about, but the government is already working towards those ends. So something like, if you really look at one of the statistics, just about 4 to 4.5 to 6% people are effectively vocationally trained within the country. That means the opportunity window is huge that we really need to work on. And if we get it right, the productivity effect is going to be tremendous. Incidentally, we did a study wherein we found for every additional year of education and vocational training, the income rises by, the per capita income rises by close to 96,000 rupees. So that means if you're able to train your people well, the economic outcomes of those set of initiatives are far too huge. But now the question is, if you really talk about centers of excellence, what are the areas that we need to be looking at? What geographical areas? In India, the biggest challenge is that there are 100 districts which contribute close to about 90% of India's GDP. So that means then what are those activities that happen in those districts? The Prime Minister alluded to 3 or 4 very distinct ideas there. Healthcare, education, tourism. And if it is happening, and then we need to train these people, because if we get the training right or train the trainers right, as you were suggesting in the program, the multiplier is going to be far more bigger than what we are even anticipating. The next thing is, what are the other sectors that can be looked at? From my point of view, like 20% of the people within clusters that you talk about, or the locations that we are really seeing, they are undertrained. So with the vocational training in the areas of, say, something like agriculture, textile, hospitality, ITES, construction could go a long, long way. So can these centers of excellence focus on these set of areas? Possibly, we can also look at a German model wherein great theoretical understanding should be built on with the whole idea of vocational training. The next thing is, if you really want to employment. We will have to look at the new sectors. So what you're calling as Industry 4.0, or if you're really saying that we have to talk about the new age sectors, what are the various sectors that we need to look at? So possibly data analytics. It is not that you need to know, you cannot be class 12 pass out and not do this. So you can look at those set of ideas. Advanced robotics, AI, machine learning, blockchain. These are the areas that we need to be looking at. But there is one massive issue which I would like to flag here. Like the problem is that Ministry of Education and Ministry of Skills should work together. The biggest problem in vocational outcomes is not the Ministry for Skill Development. It is the problem lies with Ministry of Education, because the outcomes in education are lower. So if those outcomes are lower, then Skill Development Ministry can only do so much. So they need to collaborate, make sure that the outcomes at the level of education are far robust, and especially starting with the foundational level. Today, when we talk about higher education, we know that the dropout rates have actually been increasing. So if you need to set it right, vocational training is going to be the driver for driving the competitiveness of the country and improving the productivity of the country. So I know my 5 minutes are over, so just a very quick snapshot in terms of what I think needs to be done. But I would love to talk to you more as we go along, Tiwari-ji.
Thank you, Amitji, and it is always a pleasure listening to you. And you made a very important point in your articles as well as today also, that we have to start and see it very comprehensively if you want to see about equipping our young workforce with the FLN and the skills put together. And Honorable Prime Minister has also been always been telling that we need to equip our youth not only with education, not only skills, but both. So he wants them to be educated as well as the skilled also. And as when we met, we were also discussing about how so many changes, revolutionary changes have been brought by the NEP in terms of curriculum framework, credit framework, and the use of the digital technology in terms of APAR and all that thing, so that we can have the education and skilling credentials of the youth or individuals would be there, so that they can keep on, go on the path of upskilling and reskilling throughout their working life. So this is what something which you are going to see, and I am for one convinced that the way the education and skilling have worked together, subject to your criticism always, because you will be showing based upon the data what is where we need to work further, we'll continue to do work better. So with that, I thank all the panelists. Please stay with us because we have got some questions in our chat box, and few of them, depending upon the time, I would like to take up. One question which has come by Dr. Vijay Hiraman Kokane. He is a director in Jan Shikshan Sansthan in Raigad, Maharashtra. He has said that how can the global partnership and international expertise help improve the quality of skilling programs in India? So for that, I need to get a global view, and I'll turn to Ms. Xiaoyan Liang, Lead Education Specialist, World Bank. Madam, 2-3 minutes. Your thoughts on how can global partnerships and international expertise help improve the quality of skilling programs in India? He needs to be clear about the connection. Over to you, Xiaoyan ma'am.
Thank you very much. I think some of the answers have already in a way been given by the panelists, but here maybe I'm just trying to be more specific. I think one of the important contribution will be, for example, in the design of the courses and curriculum and standards through the global partnership. There are some countries who actually excel better in some fields than others, especially in the new emerging sectors which have been raised, including, for example, EV or the semiconducting sectors, and renewable energy. So those you could actually, in a way, map out which global expertise, which global industries we could try to align ourselves to. Another area is indeed coming back to the NSTI's importance of trainers. I think it's quite important that we use those global partnerships to augment our CITS training, whether to update, to stretch it out to become diploma, degree through sandwich programs. For example, in collaboration with Singapore, the ITE or in collaboration with the Korea University Technology, which actually is starting to be a leader in AI education. So that's another way of working together. Another area of exchange is very likely going to be the students. So through the partnership, we could have built in the partnership regular student exchanges, whether through summer exchanges or semester abroad, eventually leading towards a joint certification. So that's very important, I want to say. I don't know if that's something answered. We're happy to continue to discuss, but these are the immediate things that I have in my mind. Over to you, Secretary.
Thank you, Shayan. Now we have another question, a very interesting question, which is from Dr. Lalit Narayan. He is the Dean Academics, Medhavi University. And he has posed a very interesting question. He says all the time we are talking about deregulations, governance reforms and all that. But at the same time, we also need to have some kind of standardization. So he says that how do we maintain a balance between standardization of training courses across industries and the need for flexibility in evolving sectors? So I think Mr. Sabsachi Das had to battle this out when he was setting up the Tata Institute of Skills. So over to you, Mr. Das, to answer this question.
Thank you, Tiwari. It is a very interesting question. So at two levels, I mean, I'll keep the focus on manufacturing. So we've got to also identify, given the trend of manufacturing, what are some of the core foundational skills that will be required across all levels, whether you're looking at electronics, pharma, auto. So, so given the trend in advanced manufacturing, element of automation, PLC, robotics, these are some things that, and we can identify 7, 8 odd things, which will cater to all various sectors come into the domain of manufacturing. Along with that, there is also going to be a set of 21st century skills, more attitudinal, teamwork, gender sensitivity, data analysis, communication, which is going to make a participant of the manufacturing much more productive than somebody else. So if you look at these facets, prepare our trainees on that, then they are going to be, then the last mile of last 10%, 15% based on the specific process requirement of the industry can be catered. This is one aspect. The second, which I earlier touched upon, is a mechanism by which we can get tens of thousands of manufacturing industry workers to be trainers on 2 to 3 year basis within this COE. And we make it worthwhile for them. There is clear benefit for everybody involved. For the person who's working, say, in Tata Motors or in Godrej, he comes for 2, 3 years, he gets intellectually upgraded. For Godrej or Tata Motors or Mahindra or Reliance, he comes back, he enriches. The skilling ecosystem enormously benefits from a trainer who is working because he is able to bring a lot more relevant knowledge. So this needs to be figured out as a revolving door mechanism in large scale in discussion between government and the industry. I think these two things will greatly enhance the question that you just asked.
Yeah, I'll discuss it more with you later, but just for the paucity of time, I'm going to the other question. The another question which has come from one trainee, he says that it's all right that you're saying about the center of excellence, etc. So, how can you define a location for setting up this center of excellence? So, I'll turn to two young officers. Both very briefly, you can say your perspective. One is Rashmita Panda and also Ragapriya. To your mind, what would be the areas where these locations with these COEs can be set up? Just give a brief outline so that we'll try to see whether it fits with our thing also, or what are the factors which you can take into account. Rashmita?
So we can take, one is our geographical way of doing, and one we can do the industry clusters and then map out as per the needs of the industry. Suppose our industry clusters related to let's say semiconductors are in one part of the state. So we can try to figure out nearby areas for that particular. So for me, one is the geographical wise and the industry clusters.
Okay, and Ragapriya?
Sir, I would concur with the same, sir, because even when we were looking at the possible locations of the hub and spoke, these were our main criteria. Which areas are geographically accessible to most of the people, where there is already a certain level of development which is undertaken and which could be easily accessible to all. That would be number one. And the number two would be the kind of industry which is already participating in that particular area, the predominant industry in that area, which would make sense as far as the cluster-based mapping is concerned. So I think, sir, similar to how we have identified the hubs, I think a similar line of thought could be thought about for the centers of excellence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have another question from one trainee from NSTI, Vandisha M. Sangma. She asked about, I hope it's she.
Yes.
Yeah. So she wants to know that so we are talking about centers of excellence for manufacturing, etc. So which are the sectors of manufacturing which can be covered through these centers? And in that, what kind of technologies can we plan to adopt it? So in this, I'll turn to Sudarshan ji, and of course, a little bit Ashish also. To your mind, how this can be thought of? Sudarshan?
Thank you. I think in the initial slides itself, some glimpse has been given the sectors of focus. That is what manufacturing investments are coming in the country, like it could be electronics and semiconductors and green hydrogen, and of course, renewable energy will come into play, solar and other energies. For example, I can give one example of Reliance Industries itself. We are working on a biogas energy. So it's approximately 2 lakh plants will come across India. So each needing about roughly 15, 20 people to manage this workforce. So you can imagine the need of the skilling across India on one of these itself. So this could be one of the areas I think I foresee. It is in the semiconductor area and renewable energy. And of course, Industry 4.0 as a base to cover everything. This could be the sectors.
Yeah. No, let me ask also the Ashish, and then I will also request Mr. Saraswati Das also, just briefly. Yeah. Ashish?
Sir, I think, sir, looking at the trend and next 5 years, the green skills, which also has our longer term goal of sustainability. So green skills would be one of the core sector which will drive the overall skilling. So green skills, renewable energy would be one of the focus. And then from the Indian context, construction or manufacturing has very interlinkages. So construction would be another key areas which not only for the country, for the global mobility, it is very much required. So these two critical sectors could play a big role. And for this, the technology which has been to be adopted, it would be more into 3D printing, industrial robotics in manufacturing as well as. So these new technologies and at the first level, it is all about operations, learning their basic programming or execution, and then designing.
Okay. Sabyasachi ji, आप भी बताएं. Sabyasachi Das ji हैं.
From a manufacturing perspective, I think EV, defense, battery requirements on this. Well, while semiconductor and this thing is going to see large investments, but it is not that labor intensive. It is not because it's a highly automated space where you cannot have dust and other things coming. So it's going to have a very high level of automation. So corresponding to the investment, the employment generation is going to be lesser than other sectors in manufacturing. But defense is going to be large, battery, healthcare. In healthcare, there is enormous opportunity for biomedical engineering, all sorts of implants, and I think that will really take off as healthcare investments go up. So in manufacturing, these are some of the areas, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think actually we'll have to see what are the emerging technologies and where the India has a competitive advantage. We also have to factor in where the workforce requirement is more and where the investments are going, what sectors are going to remain relevant for a longer period of time. And even though they are, and in that, how do you bring the new way of doing things like AI, like the automation and pneumatics and all that, IoT and all that. So that kind of thing which we'll have to see, because really need whatever we do on for next 20, 30 years, there are certain areas which continue to be remain relevant, like construction, for example, like automobile, for example, or some parts of that. So that was my thinking, but certainly we have been thinking on that line and center of excellence, which sector it can be center for which trade or which industry. That also we are thinking, and yesterday also we had detailed discussion. And now there's another question which has come from Mr. Shailesh Gupta from Sagar MP. He says that, and this resonates well with what Mr. Sabyasachi Das had also been saying, then how stronger ties with employers can improve employment outcomes, And this is something which is as much as, I would say, practical as well as the academic and exercise itself. So I would again, like what Mr. Sabyasachi Das had said about making a special provision for the manufacturing industry will be one. But before that, I will turn to Sri Amit Kapoor. How do we make the ties between the employers better so that we can improve the employment outcomes, which in turn will lead to industry collaborations and shape the skill development? Professor Amit Kapoorji.
So this is an important question again in terms of like how those tie-ups can happen. Right? Is at the forefront of how development is actually happening, or what is it that they require. So this is where the industry will have to really plan out as to what they need for the future. And as you said earlier in your comment, what is it that the industry requires, or what are the new skill sets that are emerging? So what we need to do is that there has to be a huge scale up of this, and possibly I wanted to say something like creating those massive open online courses which are going to create those knowledge things on a continuous basis. So we create that, and then everybody does this course. Maybe about 3 crore, 5 crore people who does those massive open online course, and then there are those on top of it. There are those skills that are developed for what the industry is looking at, and there has to be a continuous assessment what the industry is looking at on a yearly basis. It is not something that we are sitting, because the world is changing so rapidly that we need to assess it, the requirements each year. Now over to you, sir.
Thank you. May I also turn to Mr. Varaprasad, because Singapore example is well known for very close linkages of the skilling with the industries, and we understand there are different mechanisms by which the industry and government put together. They also go for upskilling and reskilling of their employees. So, can you shed some light on this, Mr. Varaprasad?
If I look at the courses run at the ITE and certainly at the polytechnics, every course, every program has a program advisory committee. And this program advisory committee comprises of both academics as well as people from industry. And many of them are training managers, they might be manufacturing managers, and they continuously provide inputs into the curriculum. And they when they submit any new program for approval to the Senate or to the board, they have to show that they have consulted industry, and they have to show what industry has said about the proposal. So by the time the proposal gets to an approval stage, any new cost proposal, you'll find that industry has been consulted, the curriculum has been amended, the assessments and tests have been modified, all of them to suit the requirements of a particular industry. Now, the difference is that it's not to suit a particular job or a particular function. It is to suit a broad range of employers and industry. And therefore, we would highly recommend in the COEs, as well as the ITIs, as well as to the NSTIs, that an industry advisory panel or industry advisory committee or program advisory committee at various levels should be one of the mechanisms for this interchange of ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Varaprasad ji. I will just come to the last question which we have from Srimati Shiva Shankar. She is Corporate VP in HCL Technologies. Srimati means.
Her name is Srimati, sir.
Okay.
Srimati Shiva Shankar. Okay. Lady, sir. Yeah.
So now, she has asked a very important question. One is that in the era of rapid technological advancements, how can skilling initiatives ensure that the workforce remains relevant and adaptable? In this, I will turn to my colleagues from the government. Vinod, you are there? To Rashmita, then Ragapriya.
Sir, Vinod sir has left for a budget session. He has been called for it.
Rashmita is not there?
Sir, I'm there, sir.
Please, my parting question is that if the technology is changing so much, what is that we should do?
So to update our curriculums, we need the support of industries. So, we need to have a platform in which the dialogue with our industry is like we have sector skill councils. We definitely have sector skill councils where the courses are upgraded, the qualification frameworks are redesigned very continuously. But somewhere when we look at our ITIs and polytechnics, there also we have the industry connect, but there we need to strengthen them. So one is that updation of curriculum and what are the global trends which are emerging. Like a couple of days back, I was reading this article how cobots are changing the scenario across Tesla factories. So these are those global trends which also we need to have a set of think tank who can tell us that these are the global trends which are emerging, and this is how we need to also reorient our curriculum towards that. So one is again strengthening our industry connect and the global trends in terms of a think tank.
Okay, thank you. Your thoughts on this, Ragapriya?
So yes, sir, it's a very pertinent question because, sir, the technological advancements are happening and skill training is really a dynamic sector. So whether the students are able to keep in line with this dynamic sector is of primary importance, sir. So the ways in which we can tackle this, sir, is as far as the professionals are concerned, a continuous upskilling and reskilling program needs to be done, wherein the professionals are able to update themselves with new technical skills, new soft skills, as well as new digital skills. I think that is really essential as far as continuous learning and updation is concerned. And secondly, sir, we have to start from the school itself, sir. So in the school itself, the students, very few students have exposure to vocational training. What is vocational training? What is the possible skill trainings that they can undergo in the future? So there's very, very less exposure at the school level. So we need to start there. So even at 8th, 9th and 10th, we start giving them some sort of exposure to skill training and give them a sort of career counseling that will make them really prepared for the future, sir. Like how we are doing in Karnataka through Nanna Vritti, Nanna IK. And secondary, sir, after finishing the schooling, they go into college. College also predominantly, sir, their training is predominantly theoretical and practical, but it is not skill oriented. So even at the college level, the polytechnics and degree colleges, we can have some sort of a training course under some short-term skilling course for those students so that once they come out to the job sector, they're able to meet the demands of the job sector, which we are again doing in Karnataka, sir, through the Kalike Jitake Kaushalya program. So these two programs we are tackling right at the beginning itself, sir. And also, fourthly, sir, we need to have constantly, we have to do a market analysis. What is the demands of the market? What are the new technologies, what are the new upgradations happening in the market, and accordingly, we need to reorient our short-term skilling also, sir. It has to be really dynamic, and I think that is a process which has to be continuous, and it has to go over a period of time, sir. And also encouraging cross-disciplinary skills, because say, for example, we have a fitter or an electrician, he should be able to even do plumbing also. If that is there, this kind of job opportunity they'll be able to access a lot of job opportunities. So a person should not get restricted to just one trade. If we have some sort of an interdisciplinary learning between skills, that will really ensure that their skills will not get phased out or will not remain dormant when there is some change in the technologies. So these are the things which will really help us be in touch with changes in the technological advancements. This is my submissions.
Thank you. No, I would say to the audience also that our NCVT has also done a lot of work in archiving those schemes which are not there. They have rationalized the credit hours. They have added the employability skills. And there is a continuous, I would say, in Kaushal Bhavan, in Ministry of Skill, we have a continuous ferment, when the NSDC, Sector Skill Councils, NCVT, industries, we keep on talking. Every week we have a discussion with them and trying to learn from them. And on a regulation basis also, through the NSQF and the NSQC, we are taking a lot of emphasis on having this multi-skill, just like what Ragapriya said, and just like what Rashmita was saying, that there is a need for us to keep our channels open and be in continuous engagement with the industry, and also have our analysis team and technical team. And I would also request through this conference all the other stakeholders to reach out to NCVT wherever you feel that there is NQR, the qualification register is there, I think there, how we can do it better. And certainly SCL, we had a clear, deeper engagement with them, and we'll have a discuss with you, Srimati Shivasankarji, in general. So in the end, I would like to thank all the panelists and Archana Mayaram, madam, who is coordinating all that. He is giving me a baleful look, so over to you.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Visible.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank our secretary for moderating this session. And like I said, the work for us has just begun because we have noted all the suggestions that have come in today. Thank you to all our esteemed panelists for joining the discussion today and sharing their valuable insights. And I would also like to thank our seniors who are present here, from Vinita ma'am from NCVT, Neena Pahuja ma'am from NCT, DGT madam for sparing their time, valuable time, and being with us through this panel discussion. My young colleagues, Swapandeep and Divyanshu, Prateek and Ankush, and all the audience who's watched us through our webcast and through our YouTube channels. And if I'm missing anybody, I'm really sorry, but with this, we conclude the session. Once again, thank you to Secretary Sir and also to all our esteemed panelists. And please join us at the concluding session, where summarization of the day-long webinar will be done by the secretaries to the Government of India and of the select of the participating ministries and departments. And also it will have presence from our Honorable Ministers, Honorable Minister of Education and Honorable Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So please do join us for that session also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Once again, aap sab log ko bahut dhanyawad. And we are really grateful to you for joining us and sparing your time. Thank you all panelists. Thank you all the audience and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.